Hello, my name is Brooklyn Dillon. I decided to do my ethical presentation on Is the surrogate the mother of the baby? The reason this topic interested me and the reason I selected this topic is from seeing different things on social media and with regards to reproductive technology. It's forever changing and new things, so a lot of people just have different opinions, different ethical standpoints. So I decided to do it on it. The thing that really intrigued me and really got me interested in this topic first was on social media a few months ago. I had seen where on CNN there was a baby that they were showing where the surrogate denied wishes of the family. This family was biologically linked to the baby, and had a contract saying if any defects or anything like that happened to the baby, that the surrogate mother would agree to have an abortion because she agreed whatever the biological mother and father believed and wanted, she would do. Well, whenever she was about 4 months pregnant, she found out that the baby did have a birth defect, but the only thing that showed on the ultrasound was a cleft lip. The family then said, the biological family said, we have to have an abortion. We don't want bring a baby in the world that has a defect. She said she did not know that's the type of defect that she was signing on the contract, so she defied the wishes of the family and decided to keep the baby. There was many legal issues with this, people saying that the biological parents was the mother and father, and then her side was that she carried this baby, she was the mother, and her ethical and moral side did not believe that it was okay to abort this baby. This is a picture of her. Once she was born, she did have other defects. Her ear was deformed. She had some heart defects, but she is alive and doing well. Another one I seen that interested me was these two twins. I seen these twins on social media stating that a family was struggling with infertility, and a surrogate that had done it for 11 years and had given 8 other babies to couples said, sure, I'll be the surrogate to these little babies. Well, she didn't know she had twins, but it was she knew it was a high risk because she'd actually delivered triplets before and other twins, so she was all up for it. She loved to give to others, and she's seen surrogacy as a job. That's how she got income. Whenever she was, I think, about 6 months pregnant, the family, they were really excited. They've been trying for years, and then they decided they were going to get divorced. So that caused a problem. They said, we don't want these babies anymore. You have to keep these babies. They're genetically linked to you, not to me. I just carry these babies for you. And they said, nope, we don't want nothing to do with these babies. You're going to have to deal with it. So she could not see giving them up for adoption. So she ended up having to take on the responsibility herself. She did not have any income from them. They never paid their dues like they were supposed to, which was a big red flag too. But so she got stuck caring for these babies, but she said it was worth it in the end, and she treats them just as hers. And she was actually the first surrogate to become legal parents of children that was not biologically hers as a surrogate. The latest I seen was actually on Facebook that I first seen it, and it was on the news on CNN. A family gave a gift. This lady is this lady's mother. She's the grandma, she's the mother. Her daughter, this is her daughter. She was unable to have children on her own due to issues, and she had tried many times, reproductive technology on herself and had miscarriages, several different heartbreaks. So her mom, which was 61 years old, decided, I'll give you the gift of life. I'll carry a baby for you and your husband. So she did. It was actually, her daughter's egg and her daughter's husband's sperm, and it was implanted into her to have this baby and be the surrogate. So the grandmother had no genetic links as far as her ovaries or anything, because she had gone through menopause actually 10 years earlier, but was still able to do this without any health issues. So she delivered the baby for her, and here's after it was delivered. Let me make sure I got that in the camera for you. It is a real touching story to me because I realized that nurses would experience conflict arising from this issue with their own personal values, um, that this could cause issues in the patient's best interest and the baby's best interest. It would really cause a nurse to question her own self, her own beliefs. Because I felt myself here. Would the son see the grandmother as his mom, like he had two moms, or how would they explain that to the child that this is grandma, but she carried you in her womb? Um, I found that would be very hard and cause a lot of ethical dilemma within a family, as well as in nursing. If you had these family members, it would be hard trying to decipher how to handle the situation. Deciding whose name to put on the birth certificate, I started questioning that. I started questioning with the birth defect. Did she really have the right? Was the surrogate have the motherly initiative and decision, like was she able to decide that for that family if she was not genetically tied to the baby? I found that 1,000 surrogates birth children in the U.S. each year, and even though there's that many, still the U.S. isn't evolving. There's still very little regulation internationally regarding the surrogacy and legal standpoints, defining who's the parent, who's not. It's constantly evolving in the U.S., deciding how to determine that, how to define who is the mother, um, who's responsible for the baby if somebody backs out. I also found that in nursing, this could cause really a lot of issues emotionally if you had to deal with family members. It caused a lot of emotional distress. It would be hard to figure it out in education. There could be ethical dilemmas, legal situations, societal concerns. All that would really require attention from the multidisciplinary healthcare team to work together to figure this situation out. I'd like to describe to you what is a surrogate mother. Surrogacy, there's two different kinds. There's traditional surrogacy, which is when artificial insemination is when it first made surrogacy possible. A traditional surrogacy is when a woman is artificially inseminated with the father's sperm, which can be the father actually wants to be with the baby, or it can be like a biological father, or it can be a sperm donor to where nobody knows who the sperm really came from. And the actual egg with the father's sperm or the donor's sperm is from the surrogate. It is her egg, but she is not taking responsibility of the child once it's born. Gestational surrogacies is when they use IVF, which is in vitro fertilization. This makes it possible to harvest eggs from the mother of the child and the sperm of the father of the child, and they place the embryo in the uterus of the gestational surrogate. So biologically, the baby is the mother and father. They are biologically tied to this child, and then the surrogate is going to let the baby develop and form in her which caused the gestational surrogate is considered the birth mother in this situation, and the biological mother is the woman's egg that was fertilized. In the U.S., gestational surrogacy is less complex legally. This is because both intended parents have genetic relations to the child. So a woman might decide to use a surrogate for several different reasons. She may have medical problems to where she's not able to carry a baby in her uterus. She may have had a hysterectomy that removed her uterus. Also, they may not be able to adopt a child due to their age, marital status, sexual orientation. If they would say they wanted to adopt instead, sometimes you can't do that. Finding a surrogate, it can be a friend, a family member, but there is complex legal issues. That's right. A surrogacy agency can be contacted. There's estimated about 100 agencies in the U.S. operating at this time. There's certain fees associated with this. Choosing a surrogate, they must be at least 21 years old, and they must have already given birth to at least one healthy baby, and that way they know all the medical risk of pregnancy and childbirth and all the emotional issues with a newborn. They also test them for different diseases such as syphilis, HIV, hepatitis B. They make sure that they are immune to measles, rubella, and they can get from 80,000 to 120,000, just to give you a little bit more info on that. But legal issues with surrogates, many people say, why is the surrogate not on the birth certificate? They actually birthed the baby, they housed the baby. They believe that they should be considered the mother. They should have rights to the baby, especially on the birth certificate. That's a big issue. They are supposed to tell the hospital, the judge is supposed to tell the hospital to give the baby to the biological parents instead of the surrogate once the baby is born, and to put the biological babies, the people that are taking the baby, they are the intended parents are to go home with the baby and be on the birth certificate. The surrogate is not allowed to leave with the baby. Another legal issue with this, and the reason that most people feel like the mother of the baby is the surrogate since she's carrying it, a legal contract or not, or if they even want to give their baby up, they do not have to. Legal custody of the baby at the time is of the surrogate. I can read to you from the legal standpoint from surrogacy, from the British Journal of Midwifery. The law is very clear to this. The woman who is carrying or has carried a child as a result of placing in her of an embryo or of the sperm and eggs, and no other woman is to be treated as the mother of this child. So that states that the woman who is carrying the baby, whether it be implanted or natural, is the mother of the child according to human fertilization and embryology. As well, the mother who is bearing the child is not forced to release the baby, nor could the commissioning couple be forced to take care of the baby. In any dispute, the court would look at the best interests of the child. So basically, while the baby is in the womb, the surrogate has all say. Even if they sign a contract, they can breach the contract, and usually the court is not going to say, let's give the baby up. Even though she birthed the baby, let's give it to let's take it from her. Notification of birth. The surrogate does not legally have to tell the biological mother of the baby. It is on the surrogate's terms. She can tell whenever she's ready to tell the mother. They should have a parental order, and if the egg and the sperm in the surrogate is not biologically tied to the mother and father that's going to take the baby, they do not have to assume responsibility, and if they do want to, they can do an adoption. Legally, the mother of the baby is the gestational carrier during, like the surrogate during the gestational period. Since she is bearing child, she is the one that is legally the mother. So she has the right to decide who is present at birth, who she notifies of the birth. She is able to decide if she wants to have an abortion, even if the family who is they're biologically tied to the baby. She is able to have an abortion if she wishes. That is her decision, and the courts say that legally there isn't really any certain law to state that she can or cannot do that. This would cause emotional distress on the biological family, of course, though, so there could be a lawsuit saying that she caused them emotional hardship. On the side of if the biological family decided to opt out and said they do not want the baby anymore, the surrogate is not fully responsible. She does not have to take the baby herself. On the pros and cons side, people say that they find it bizarre to force a surrogate mother to take a baby that she did not want or intend to have, and she signed a contract for, just because the genetic families are dead or unavailable to take care of the baby. As well, on the other side of it, people say it's bizarre to say that, say the biological mother and father died in a car wreck, that the baby is an orphan. They say that the surrogate is the mother and she should take on the responsibility. But legally, she does not have to. She can give the baby up for adoption if if the biological family doesn't want the baby anymore and opts out of it. She can do that, and the actual biological family would have to pay the adoption fees and be responsible financially for it. If the surrogate would decide to keep the baby, she would be able to get child support from the biological family. There's other people that are like they say that the surrogate is the mother of the baby. They say that she is the only one that has ever had close contact, had any emotional, not biologically tied to the baby. She has a relationship with the baby since it's forming in her. She feels it move. She loves the baby. But other people in the surrogacy industry have decided to say that they do not feel that way. They just see it as a job. They do not have emotional ties to the baby. They do this for another family member and do not consider the baby theirs because it's not. They're just providing a house for the baby. So there's two different sides of it. People who say that the genetic parents are the mother, the genetic parent is the mother of the baby. They argue that since the DNA is tied to them, that it is in fact their baby, that she is the mother, she decides what happens with the baby, that the surrogate is just providing a place to grow for the baby, that she has no rights to decide things for the baby, that nothing is up to her. As well, people can say that from the surrogate standpoint, they're the mother since the baby is actually being birthed from them. They have all the decisions with them. So they say that on the other side, where they have the DNA, that's their baby, that's their only genetic ties. In conclusion on who is the mother, is the surrogate the mother, I think there's two sides to it. You can look at it either way. In ways, I mean, the surrogate mother gives her body, she carries that baby, so she can be considered the mother, but genetically and biologically, she may not be the mother. Another person is the mother to the child. Or if somebody has signed paper saying that they're taking this baby, that they're going to raise this baby, they can be viewed as the mother. They each have viable points. But in nursing, ethically wise, I think we need to realize that the inability to conceive and bear children can be very distressing for any couple, and that this technology should be looked at a life-affirming gift instead of the negatives and sitting there contemplating who is the mother. We need to try to see the potential for the changing society and look at a concept of different family dynamics and parenthood. Nurses need to realize their standpoint on this issue and get more education out there in order to see where we stand and understand it better and have support. This will also, this reproductive technology of surrogate mothers can provide couples' dreams and desires of having a family of their own. I'd like to mention 2.1 Code of Ethics, which addresses the primary patient's interest at the nurse's heart. We have a commitment to create a plan and care that reflects the fundamental commitment of nursing to uniqueness, worth, want, and dignity of the patient, according to American Nursing Association. Also, the Code of Ethics says that the nurses have a duty to self and others. Nurses have respect to not only their patients but ourselves and stand by our values. We just need to do the best for our patients and see if every situation is different. We always need to just look at each situation and see what's best for the baby. Thank you.